And welcome to all our guests. This is a very special interview that we're about to have. Forum 360 welcomes John T. Ferrero, who is the Stark County Prosecuting Attorney, and he's here to talk about COVID-19 and the criminal justice system. And so we thank you, first of all, Mr. Ferrero, for coming again to Forum 360.
Thank you, Sally. It's good to be back.
Thank you so much. And let me tell our audience a little bit about you, because if I was to tell them everything about you, it would be the entire half an hour. But you've now been the Stark County Prosecutor since 2003. And prior to that time, you were the Massillon City Law Director and Prosecutor. And I know that you're on the board of many organizations. I'm just going to tell our audience some of them. You're on the Community Corrections Organization, the Records Commission, the Budget Commission, the Ohio Prosecutors Association, Executive Committee. You are on the Health Foundation of Greater Massillon, and you're involved with Friends of Children's Network, and you're also on the Grievance Committee of the Stark County Bar Association. So I guess it's good that I've met you. And in addition to that, you have 2 daughters and 3 grandsons. So you're very experienced, and it's such an honor to have you on the show again. So let's start with the big question. How is COVID-19 impacting the criminal justice system in our county, in Stark County, Ohio?
In all of our lives, this has greatly affected everything. And the criminal justice system is greatly affected. As you know, we were considered an essential business by the governor when he first came out with the order. So that means we had to continue to do business. It was important that we had with the sheriff's office, with jail, and lawyers there. It was something to work in a way that we never did before. And all I can say is thank God for technology, because if we didn't have what we have today to communicate with everybody that needs to be communicated with, it would make it very difficult. But you know, the virus that has affected the United States and the whole world has changed everything, and the criminal justice system is no exception. But we working together with the courts and everyone involved, we're making it where we can make it work. We're affording people who are charged with a crime their constitutional rights. We're making sure that the safety of our employees is first and foremost, but they still have to do their work here. So it's something to be adjusted to. We're really doing it day by day. We never know what's going to happen, but
there have been there's been so much energy. There's so much work that you've done. You're so busy. The courts are so busy. A month ago, you probably didn't know how you'd have any more time for anything, and yet here you're dealing with all this. How is this affecting just what's going on in the court? What are the changes in the court?
The biggest change that we've faced is the jury trial that has been suspended by the court at this time. It's not only the criminal cases in which we deal with, but it's also the civil cases in which the courts have to hear also. But it was important that they suspend that, because you have to look out for the safety of everybody involved. You're talking.
So just for the audience, so you're saying suspended, you're saying there aren't any going on. There's no jury trials happening right now. They're put off for one way or another.
That's correct. It's the suspended, there might have been a lot of cases set for jury trial, but it's all suspended. There's a court order that the Supreme Court has issued, as well as our local courts, that suspend all time requirements. They told the time limits in which the case should be heard. So when this is all said and done, hopefully when we get back to normal, we're going to have a lot of jury trials that are going to be there, and because right now they're all suspended. But that was the biggest thing, Sally, because we probably in Stark County average between at least 2-3 criminal jury trials a week. And as you can imagine, during 2 months here now of no jury trials, it's going to add up. And we're going to have to try those cases sooner or later. But I think the number one is the safety for all the people involved. And because of so many unknowns, jury trial would make it a pretty big risk, as well as the governor's order. They don't want to see more than 10 people congregating at one time. So that would make it very difficult for a jury trial.
Well, luckily you only need 8 in civil cases, so there you go.
Yes.
So, and the same thing's true on the, even more so on the civil side, that things have been pushed off.
Yes. I mean, right now, you know, in our office, you know, we have 4 divisions in which we deal with here in Stark County Prosecutor's Office. Like that's the misconception. A lot of people hear the word prosecutor and they just think that's the office that just prosecutes felony cases. But you know, we also have we represent civil clients by statute. We represent like school boards, townships, police agencies.
The county officials.
Right. Yeah, County Board of Elections, the commissioners. We probably have over 100 statutory clients, and they also are facing many questions and uncertainties at this time. So our civil division has to be, you know, there to answer their questions, because a lot of employees are getting laid off. You know, a lot of people are taking time off from work and they have employment questions that they have to have answered. So our civil division is keeping busy. Our juvenile division, we handle all the juvenile cases that come in Stark County, be it a traffic case or a murder case. And all those cases are, you know, juveniles are still being charged, and we still have to help the police agencies in that. And also we have the, you know, of course, our criminal division and our grand jury division, in which we handle the grand jury.
So you still have some things going on in court, even with it, like the grand jury. How does that work?
Well, the grand jury in Stark County, we have we've had, before this crisis hit, we've had 3 grand juries that meet a week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. There are 3 different grand juries. When this became, the virus became the problem, we asked the court to only allow us to have 1 grand jury a week. So we got rid of two of the grand juries. And we also, we had the grand jury located, it's adjacent to my office here in the county building. And it's very, very cramped quarters to put, you know, 15, 16 people in there. So we did ask the Court of Common Pleas to allow us to go and conduct a grand jury over in the Court of Common Pleas. And as you all know, the courtrooms are a lot bigger, and we could space out the grand jurors, you know, the 6 feet, and they can hear the case, keep them at a fair distance where they, you know, they don't have to worry about, you know, the virus or anything. So we got the room over there. We're at 1 week, we're meeting, but because of the 2 months now that we've been doing this, we're getting a little backlog. So this week we're going to go back to 2 grand juries a week, and we'll be hearing the cases and hopefully clearing up some of the backlog that we have.
Not to be banal, the logistics of that have to be very difficult. I mean, even the restrooms are quite small. I mean,
yes,
distance in cozy rooms is just challenging.
Yes, and you know the grand jurors, when they're picked, you know, just like they're picked like a regular jury. However, they got to serve for 3 months. You know, one day a week for 3 months, and you know, sometimes that's challenging, and because people can be it'd be very difficult to get that much time off from work. Many employers do understand that, but you know, fortunately, we do have a lot of retirees who are in that age group where we have to be very careful with them here during this time. And you know, we have been seeing them. They do come in, they do wear their mask, they do, you know, keep their distance, and we're doing everything. The court, my office, we're doing our best to keep them, you know, safe in doing their public duty.
So you have to have a good part of your staff devoted just to making sure you know what today's rules are. You know,
Yes.
as
Yeah.
it's not stable.
No, and that was the first thing that myself and my division chiefs here, we got together right away when we knew this was going to get serious and the governor was going to issue orders. We decided, because we have about 80 employees here in the office, and it gets like just any other office. It's going to be pretty cramped and close. So we devised a plan where we try to keep as many people out of the office as possible. We make sure they work from home. Many of the lawyers, of course, have to come in. The assistant prosecutors have to come in because there's still pre-trials going on. There's still arraignments going on, even though there's no jury trials. But the defendants, some of the defendants are pleading, to the charges and getting their sentence. So we try to keep as many people out of the office as possible, operate from home. Our division chiefs have a Zoom meeting such as this, probably 2-3 times a week with all their staff in their division to see what they're doing. They have to log in, make sure they're doing their work, keeping up with their cases. So it's a challenge, but it's something we all have to do, and I have to give my staff a lot of credit. They're doing a great job. The grand jurors, again, some of them call in saying, I'm not feeling good. As long as we get the right, enough people to come in and hear cases, we're going to do that. And we do call them, we call the grand jurors up the day before they come in and make sure you're going to be able to come in. Is everything okay? We're taking these precautions. So the grand jury has been working well. We've been able to continue the grand jury without a problem. They've all showed up, and they're doing a great job.
That's a special commitment. You must be working hard to keep the folks motivated. To have people come in and serve in the grand jury when they know that they're at risk, when they're in a high risk group. That must take some special effort on your staff's part and in your leadership.
Yes, I think that's, again, just like in anything else, the communication. We're talking with them, and I think they understand that we're concerned about their health. And I'm talking about the jurors, that we call them, and if they're not feeling well, we don't want you to come in. Take your temperature beforehand. If it's a little elevated, please do not come in. If we don't have enough, then we're going to have to cancel the grand jury for that week. But again, we've been fortunate that we've been able to conduct it every week so far.
So what are the implications with respect to what's going on in the community? In general, is crime about the same, up, down, serious felonies? What do you see? What's the implications in the community?
Can you repeat that, Sally? I'm sorry.
What are you seeing in terms of the implications of the COVID-19 on crime in the community? Is it having an impact? Are felonies about the same, up, down?
Well, we just looking at the numbers last week, they are a bit down, but I wouldn't get too elated over that. I think it's, the police are doing a lot of other things right now. I'm not saying that they don't have time to do their undercover work, that maybe on drug cases at this point in time. It's difficult to do that when you're trying to help the community and other ways. But the cases are down a bit, but crime is still going on. The serious crimes are still out there. Drug use is still there. So what we're planning on, or what we're probably going to see, again, when these orders that you can start going out and doing things that we were used to doing beforehand, that's when I think crime might have a bigger spike to it. Another thing to look at, another positive, is a lot of people are at home right now with the orders from the governor, and that could be helping the cases of the break-ins. People are less likely to go break in if they know people are there at their houses. So I checked and seen on that. Those cases are down. Break-ins, where guys would go in and break in to houses. There's still something to go and sell, to go buy drugs. If they know people are in that house, they're not going to break in. So I guess there's one little Yes, one or they're sick, one of them, but
Oops.
the drug use is still out there, and we're probably going to see once things get back to a little bit to normalcy here, there's going to be an uptick in the crime as we're figuring it.
So when the burglar goes to the fence and he brings back something extra that he hadn't intended to bring, that must be interesting.
That's right. And people did get their government check, and that might be helping them a little bit before they go out and do the bad things that we have to put up with here on a daily basis.
Seriously, with your leadership with the police officers and the probation officers and other people working in the system, there must be some very difficult challenges that these folks are facing in training you for leadership. How do you keep the officers and the probation officers, everyone motivated? The victim witness assistance folks, it all goes on. How do you keep everybody motivated and attending to the things that need to be attended to? What's your formula?
Well, I think everybody's in the same boat here. We got a major health crisis here, and we're in the criminal justice system. We are all trying to do what's best at this point in time. And I think, again, communication with our police agencies, with probation, with everybody is very important. And again, the technology is wonderful in that regard. You can do Zoom, you can do FaceTime. You don't need that, don't need that one-on-one. Come into my office so we can talk. And my victim witness division, where they talk to victims, and get the input from them on a crime. We're doing a lot of that by remote, be it phone, be it email or whatever. Usually we like them to come into the office, and we do still try to get as many as we can. But again, for the safety of the victims and the safety of my staff, we try to do everything by remote, and it's working well. And I'm glad, glad for technology. If this happened, this health crisis happened 30 years ago, I don't know where we would be in the criminal justice system.
You and I were talking briefly before about the opioid crisis and the challenge that it was for Stark County. Can you talk a little bit about that crisis and what the difference in handling it now is before, when you thought you were busy before?
Yeah.
Now you realize you're really busy.
Well, it's still a crisis. Don't think it's the virus is, of course, 1A, but the opioid crisis is 1B as far as being a health crisis. It's still out there. What we have done in our office is, we've sued the drug distributors and drug manufacturers. We're involved in that federal lawsuit. It was getting close to a settlement before this health crisis hit here. So I think that's been put on hold by the federal court judge too, with everything else going on. So we're actively doing that. We're prosecuting cases where it made national news. We had a doctor that was a medical doctor who was basically running a pill mill, and we charged him with hundreds of violations of the law. The most serious, of course, was the couple manslaughter charges in which some of his patients who he prescribed this opioids to overdosed and died from that. And it was a very sad situation where many people were affected by him over prescribing these pills. And we did prosecute him, and he was found guilty on numerous charges, and he's spending probably the rest of his life in prison. But I think that's important to show the public that we take this crisis very serious. We're gonna go after the bad doctors. We're gonna go after the guys who are selling these pills on the street, because many lives have been lost due to the opioid crisis, and we're gonna continue to do that. And what I'm hoping doesn't occur after this crisis with the virus is that, you know, opioids will uptick and will be a bad situation, a worse situation than what we were in, because, you know, people are depressed at this point in time. People are scared. People feel hopelessness, a lot of people. And that's when they resort to illegal drugs or prescription drugs. And we're just hoping after this crisis is over that we don't see an uptick with that.
You could not have imagined that you'd be dealing with this type of an issue. But what have been the most difficult challenges for you and your staff?
At this point, I think it was just have to just drop everything that we were doing. Like I said, we had 2 or 3 trials a week. You got we have over 2,000 felony cases a year, Sally. I think the biggest thing is just to drop everything, what you were doing, and sitting down and devising a new plan how we're going to handle this. I think that was the most challenging part. We knew it wasn't going to be the same. We knew we had to talk with the courts and the sheriff and everybody involved and get a plan and get it quick. I mean, it was something that we really needed to do. And I was very fortunate to have some very, very good minds in my office, good dedicated people that worked on it constantly. I mean, you come out with an initial plan, we're probably on our, 10th or 15th amendment to it, because that's what you have to do. You have to keep adjusting day by day with that. So I think with the energy we got in the office, dedication, that was the amazing part of this crisis that we're facing.
What's been the most surprising thing about all of this?
Most amazing, again, I think just the working of all the departments involved in the criminal justice system, because it's so much, and it's, you got a lot of egos involved. When you got lawyers and judges and elected officials.
Lawyers, really?
Well, we should know that, right? But you got
I had no idea.
You got a lot of people with egos and different ideas. But the amazing thing was, when you're facing a national crisis like this, everybody put it aside, and everybody was willing to work together to make sure, in my area, the criminal justice system was working the best that they could. And that's what amazed me, is that, before this, we might have, knocked heads with a judge or somebody else, but now everybody is knowing we're in a situation where we have to work together. We have to make sure we're all on the same page and get this done correctly.
Speaking of getting things done correctly, as you think about the children in the community, what advice might you have for children who might be thinking about a law enforcement career, or things that they can do perhaps to keep things safe now? What advice do you have for children?
Well, I think, when we go speak and talk to kids all the time, that's one of my, I try to preach that to my assistants, that we try to get out and speak as much as we can to schools and high schools, grade schools, about anything that's of relevance. And that's something that comes up a lot. They'll ask, is police work or prosecution or public defenders, is it something that I should look at? And of course, you're probably asking a biased person here, but I really try to preach that to them. I go, yes, it's a great public service. You'll feel good. You're not going to get rich, of course, but you'll feel good helping your community. We got a lot of dedicated police officers here in Stark County. I'm very proud of them. Public defenders are doing a great job representing the defendants, and of course my staff are doing a great job. So there's a lot of areas in which you can serve, and I try to get the kids to really give it some thought. And I don't know what they'll do, but what you can do is just tell them if they got any questions. We're here to answer anything they have.
What's next? Do we return to normal? When do we return to normal?
Well, hopefully sooner than later, but I think things got to change how we do things. And again, it's changing by the day, Sally. And as long as everybody works together and understands what we need to do and to change, and that everybody agrees to it, I think it's going to be a smooth transition. But I think you're going to see a lot of more maybe remote, like we're doing here with the courts. Having the defendants at the jail, not bringing them into the court, and things like that. It's just going to try to have that social distancing at least into the near future here.
And you've just mentioned smooth transitions, and that brings me to say thank you for being here on behalf of Forum 360, our special guest today at a terrible time, but doing his best to keep it together for us, moving into that time in the future where we're back to normal. John Ferrero, prosecuting attorney from Stark County, leader in law enforcement at this time. So on behalf of Forum 360, I'm Sally Henning.
Forum 360 is brought to you by John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, the Akron Community Foundation, Hudson Community Television, the Rubber City Radio Group, Shaw Jewish Community Center of Akron, Blue Green, Electric Impulse Communications, and Forum 360 supporters.